The founder of The Feast, lawyer and comic, Doug X. Let's keep it going for Doug. All right.
Thanks for coming out. This is our first fundraising show of 2019. Hoping to do 5 more. Raise some money for some good cause as opposed to the usual cause, which is comics need stage time. I think, like, you know, most comics, I wonder if, like, you can do, like, a non-profit for, like, you know, comics who just really need that stage time. They're just jonesing, you know, and they can't get in the open mic circuit. They're cut off. Sorry, no more for you, man. But I just need that stage time. I need that sweet, sweet stage time. Because comedy is an addiction. I think we all realize that. Because if it wasn't, would we be here? Right? On a Saturday night in Fountain Valley in the yoga studio. This is the heroin den of comedy, guys. You know, you can tell yourself you can take it or leave it when you do in the rec room in Huntington Beach. When you're in Flappers in Burbank and you're on stage. When you're hanging out in a converted yoga studio at 8 to 9 o'clock in Fountain Valley, you've got a problem. Thanks, dude. Deep cuts. That was a great roast battle. I think that was my favorite roast battle I've seen in a while. Just like 2 kittens pawing at each other. It's adorable. When me and Richard go in a roast battle, there's blood on the floor. Ego in shreds. Like, if I do a roast battle, I'm not happy the other person's not crying in the shower the next day. I didn't know I presented to the world like that! Guys are making Sue jokes. So this is going to go to, whatever we raise today is going to go to Otro Lado, which is a really good organization. They've got boots on the ground in Tijuana, trying to help people, giving blankets and food, but also, like, every day they're processing asylum applications. And before the whole caravan hit, they were doing that work in LA. And I tried volunteering to do some asylum work myself, but I got put with these, like, 2 little kids who didn't speak English. And you know, I was like, so why are you scared to go back to, you know, Mexico? Because you have to be afraid to go back to your country to seek asylum. But they're like, you know, 5 years old. They're like, you know, well, the boogeyman's back there. I mean, you know, you're the 5-year-old. What are you scared of? Although the 7-year-old was like, well, every day I would see a guy with a machine gun shoot somebody in the street. I'm like, fuck! I'm like, man, that's 7, dude. Wait till it's puberty. That's when real fear hits in. I mean, that's not. Who the hell is going to be scared of being rejected by a girl or not making a football team when at 7 you see people get gunned down in the street and there was guys with guns everywhere you went? So, I don't know. I'm trying out my new asylum material. So, let's see. What am I'm trying to think. So, I'm 40-something years old and I'm single. So, as you might expect, I've gotten really into historical European sword fighting. There's an organization called Kron. It's in Fullerton. It's a Cal State Fullerton. Every Wednesday night at like 8 p.m. I go and get a resin broadsword. You know, try and beat the hell out of somebody else with also the broadsword. You know, and I've really been enjoying that, like, because I feel like fencing or the SCA doesn't really capture the grandeur of trying to kill somebody the way they did in the Middle Ages. And that's what we want, right? If you're going to simulate murder, we want authenticity. And that's what we've been doing wrong all this time. So let's try this out. All right, who here would rather, if you had to be happy or right, all right, who here would choose to be happy? All right, and who'd rather be right? And I'm right there with you, because This was just asked just randomly. This wasn't like a planned thing. This just randomly came up in a conversation I was at, and immediately I jumped right in because everyone was kind of like thinking about it. I didn't have to think. I want to be right. But the reason I want to be right is because I know what being right feels like. I've been right. And I'm not saying I've never been happy, but like the last time I was happy was like when I was 29 for like 2 weeks in June. So it's a very dim memory. It might as well have never happened. And I can't even be sure it did. You know, for all I know, my brain in a jar and someone programmed in 2 weeks subroutine of happiness. So to me, that question is kind of like, do you want to go to Key West or do you want to go to Narnia? Now I've been to Key West. Spent 3 nights there when I was in the Coast Guard. Saw the sunset in the water. Got drunk on Duval Street. You know. But being right, but be happy. That's like Narnia. I don't know what that's like. I mean, I've seen the movies. I've read the books. But what if like the White Witch is just some of this like crazy dominatrix? I mean, not a cool dominatrix who's into like role play and light spanking, but ones who's into like deep sounding. Anybody here know what sounding is in the context of like dominatrix and BDSM? Good. You don't want to know. Do not Google that shit. I swear to God, if you Google that shit, deep cuts, you'll be throwing up for like 3 days. Don't. Usually, hey, I'm like, fact check me, Google me. Don't Google that. The biggest favor I can do you on that subject is ignorance. That being said, I'm not going to tell you what sounding is. No, I'm not going to do that. No. Although I want to do a 3-minute set on sounding once, just to see how it goes. I want to see who's the first person to leave the room. We get contest. But I'm the only one who's playing. Like everybody else, I'm trying to do some new material here because, you know, everyone here has seen me do my stuff like 10 times. So I counter your observation by doing something brand new you didn't expect. You didn't say it was good, but you didn't expect it. So anyway, but like, so what if the White Witch is just some crazy dominatrix, and what if like all of the talking animals end up just being furries? Now look, I'm sex positive. I try and respect everybody's kink, but I don't understand furries. Creeps me the fuck out. And here's why. I think sex should be about like highlighting your positive qualities. So like, you know, like you go to like a sex dungeon. I'm sure you've all been to one. And like, you know, you see the girls in vinyl and PVC, and you see the dudes like covering their face with a gimp mask. Those are all things I can respect. For a dude, the best thing you can do is cover up. You know, the best thing you can do is reveal strategically. But furries are all taking hot girls and putting them in big, bulky fursuits, and that's more hot to you somehow. Like, I mean, like, where's your head out? Pull your head out. You know, like it was just like, hey, fuzzy ears and a tail, and like everything else is naked, I'd be in. But that's not what happens at furry conventions. I know. I've heard. Thank you, deep cut. I don't need to sweeten the audio on this one. Just gonna put him on every show. So there's a comic comes here, performs, Dave, and so I don't know if you've always seen him. He plays a flute, and we were doing a show on Boxing Day, which is a great day doing a show. And he broke out his flute, and 7 people just left. Because there's shows in the main room, in the Yoo-Hoo room, and sometimes people don't know if they're in the Yoo-Hoo room or they're there for the big show. But when some dude pulls out a flute, they know. Ever since then, I've been calling him the reverse Pied Piper comedy. Because Pied Piper's supposed to bring people in, not fucking drive them away. And it was immediate, too. So I was standing right at the door because there was no room for me to sit, and then suddenly there was room. And I'm like, well, that solved the problem. So and I mean that with love, but I'm going to try and I feel like, I don't know, I have this idea of, like, yeah, I'm producing a show, but I'm also kind of mentoring comics. And none of them want to be mentored, but that's okay. You know, because like someone said earlier, consent doesn't matter. And, you know, but I'm going to try and wean him off the flute, you know, just like he's like a little kid, 2-3 years old, just sucking at that tit, and I'm just going to wean him off, you know, no more than once a set. That got really weird. And so I think so. You know, Mike was talking about getting a colonoscopy, and I'm getting at the time where I gotta get one. And I don't want to get a fucking colonoscopy. Nobody does, but I really don't. Like, and so I'm at the point of like, fuck it. Like, what's the worst that can happen? Cancer? It's gonna get me somewhere anyway. Like, you know. But the problem is, one of my closest friends, she was an ex-girlfriend, and she's a nurse. And she works in hospice care with people who are no longer getting any medical care. It's just like being comfortable passing. And she's like, I'm working with a guy in his 40s. I know what's behind door number 2. You want a colonoscopy. And I'm like, well, fuck. That's just not fair, right? But like, I feel like I want to get like a bingo card of like professions. And like see if I can date a girl like in all the notable professions. Like, I've dated a doctor, I've dated a nurse, I dated an engineer. And engineers are the best people to date because they take a relationship to its natural, logical endpoint because they test for destruction. Thank you. I am so proud of that joke. It's all about STEM, people. But I haven't dated a scientist, though. I'm like, that's like my next one. I want to like, well, no, I mean like, yeah, that's like my goal. I have the goals too. Like I dated a podiatrist I dated 2 doctors, a podiatrist and a psychiatrist. But the podiatrist, she didn't have a foot fetish. Like, what the fuck is the point of becoming a podiatrist if you're not into feet? That just seems misguided. Think of the overlap you could have. Talk about enjoying your work. I mean enjoying your work. And on that note, people, that's going to be it for me tonight.